I can understand what you're saying.
My kids will feel here like at home, but not me, I guess.
No, I can understand that. I to a lesser degree, I have a little bit of that because I've traveled around the country and lived. Actually, I've lived on both coasts, and now I'm out in Arizona, which is sort of, almost in the middle. I mean, it's not directly in the middle, but it's not on either coast either. So I do know what you mean from that aspect, and I hope that your work here and meeting people and playing your music and sharing with people, I hope you get more of a sense of, what do I want to say, more of a sense of comfort, if not home. I know you never, ever replace your own home, and I just hope that you find yourself a comfortable place here where you do feel at home as much as you can, and you can enjoy it.
I do feel comfortable, and it's interesting because this country is big, and like you said, from coast to coast and from city to city, it's very different, and it's always like something new. I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to move here when I was like 25, so I was already adult enough to kind of appreciate these things. Because if I was younger, for example, my parents would move here, and I would be like, I don't know, 9 years old. I wouldn't even remember my country or something to compare with. So.
Right, and yet you were still young enough to be able to adapt to the situation and old enough to appreciate the adaptation.
I was young enough not to mind to sleep under the bridge or something to be starving.
Okay.
I was young enough to kind of not to care to be broke or something.
Right. Yeah, I've been there too. Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing a little bit of your story with us along with your music. Let you know you always have friends here now, and hopefully we'll be spreading the word about Jay Katana around the world as well as around the United States. And we look forward to having you come back and see us again in the future.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Jay. Been a pleasure, and we do look forward to hearing from you again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jay Katana, and this is called Letter from Child. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Katana. That's called Letter from Child, and a bit of a change of pace from his opening track, wouldn't you say, John Bon Jovial?
Yeah, the thing that strikes me about this song that we just played, Letter from a Child, is the guitar work is really interesting because it kind of reminds me of some of the stuff when psychedelia started, kind of making roots in American rock and roll back in the 60s. You would hear stuff like that from Jefferson Airplane, for example, or Quicksilver Messenger Service. But the thing that I like about that is that he's got a little bit of subtle techno pop mixed into it. And that really kind of lends a nice touch to it.
Yeah, he's definitely worked on creating his own style, and it shows because he does have a signature style there. I don't know as it has gotten to the point yet where, he's easily recognizable from others, but when you listen to his music, you do get a feel for the person he is and the style that he has. It's something I really enjoy the fact that we are listening to an artist who is still of course, all artists are in the development stage all through their careers, but he's in the developmental stage where we can follow along and see, what he sounds like a year or two down the lane, and how he's developed his style from there. It'll be interesting when he goes back out on the road, too. I really hope that we'll be able to get him back on the show. That was an interesting conversation, and, of course, the great music. Always great to have some great music on the show, and we've been very fortunate in having a lot of great music, and that means we should move right along to our next artist. So getting ready for Ms. Shaun Murphy, and let's listen to her title track from her latest album. It's called Reason to Try.
Wash my hands at the end of the day, roll my troubles down the drain. You give me shelter where I can lay my head to ease my burden of pain. The man I work for, he tries to steal my dreams, and sometimes all I can do is cry. My life is so hard. Sometimes I want to lay down and die. But you
And that was Reason to Try, the title track of the new album by our next guest, Ms. Shaun Murphy. Hello, Shaun. How are you?
Hey, David. I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing just fine, and really happy to have you here with us today. I know when we originally talked about you coming on the show, I had discovered your music and the tracks to your new album, as well as some of your older music. But I did not know until I started doing some homework what a fantastic and interesting history you have, and hopefully we'll get to include a lot of it in the next 10 minutes or so. First off, if you would, tell us a little bit about your start in the business. Now, I preface that with knowing that you started, as far as your biography goes, back in the 70s, and we're with some names that are still famous today, Rare Earth Records for one, and some guy named Meatloaf. But how did you get started in the music business?
Well, actually, I was planning. I had all these big plans of being an actress. And when I got into, I was still in school, and I had joined the choir, yada, yada, yada. And then when school was out, I did some summer stock in the local plays and stuff. So, and then the musicals as well. So when I moved, finally, fast forward, I moved to Detroit. I decided, well, the music thing is happening. There's not too much theater here. So I started a band in Detroit, and lo and behold, along comes a friend of mine who said, look, they're holding auditions for Hair. I went, great. So I went down. I got the lead role, and that's where Meatloaf came back in, because we've been doing a lot of summer festivals together in different bands when he was living in the Michigan area. And then he moved on to, I don't know, where was it first, either New York or L.A., one of the two, but he was in L.A. at the time. They said, well, we're going to open a show in Detroit. Do you want to be in the show? And he goes, sure. Do you know any singers? Female singers? I absolutely do, but don't know how to get a hold of her. So I walked in to do the audition. He turned around and he goes, there she is. So that's how I got boosted up in the upper echelons as far as getting the lead role. But anyway, did that, continued on to music after that. Gosh,